This is what you're waking up to. Governors hit streets over funding crisis. County bosses accuse MPs of stifling devolution. Want Apex Court to intervene. And we had the governors here yesterday, and we're saying this is an exercise in futility as far as intervening or seeking the advisory opinion from a court is concerned. Because all this is tucked away in the Constitution. And it's just the implementation bit that is not actually being realized as far as the Division of Revenue Bill is concerned. And the biggest question was the fact that we have another bill that is being fronted by Mutula Kilonzo to actually make sure that Article 110, subsection 3 of the Constitution is realized, where we can have concurrence. If we have a bill from the National Assembly and a bill from the Senate, we can have concurrence with the speakers as far as that is concerned. That is in the Constitution. Why would the governors actually be heading to court to seek an advisory opinion about this? I don't know. Briefly, you can comment on this before we go to the stories of the day. Yeah, let's begin with the Senator Cheriot.
I think what the governors are doing is that they want to carry the country with them with regards to the current stalemate that is being experienced with regards to division of revenue, that they'd wish the courts to pronounce themselves. Supreme Court in advisory opinion number 3 of 2013 already made this decision about how division of revenue bill should be considered. And that is how it has been done in each subsequent year, 2014, 15, 16, 17, last year, up to this year, where we are having this kind of a problem. Perhaps a more elaborate opinion that I should have sought is what happens when mediation collapses and you get to this particular time of the year where a financial year is beginning. There is already an appropriation bill that has been assented to, though it is 50% of the entire budget, but we haven't agreed on what will be the final figure of the amounts of money that will be sent to the counties. It's something that maybe the courts may need to pronounce themselves on, and that will help the country with regards to what to do. Perhaps, for me, not trying to guide how the courts should rule in that regard, but they should ensure that there is absolutely no appropriations bill that is considered until first you agree on division of revenue. That will be a good reason, because so long as national government continues to function, they don't care about counties. So the easiest way is to make sure that nobody has a chance to function, so that people come back to their senses, they sit down and they discuss. I can assure you, Dibal,
yes,
if it was the national government that was starved of funds, the solution to this would have been found a long time ago. But since it is counties, people just lazy around. Nobody wants to take the hard decisions.
All right, let's say from Otenda Molo, 110, this is where we come to you to pull out now the Constitution, as you want to. You can maybe expound that for us as well.
He already has it.
Oh, he already has it.
Yes.
Well, I will actually spare you the detail of the Constitution and speak to the principle.
Yes.
Because I think this is a matter which requires sobriety at a principle level, rather than at the exact dots and commas in the Constitution. It is my view that there are certain matters which ought not to be brought to the judicial sphere, because they are matters which are best agreed upon. We who practice in the courts all the time know that once you're in court, it is a winner-take-all. Somebody will have to lose seriously, somebody will have to win seriously. And that is not good for intergovernmental and institutional cooperation. So 3 things, for example, that should never have been brought to court. One is that issue, that case that has just been brought. Because I actually support the Senate on this. Because if the Senate is seeking more funds for the counties, and under Article 96(1), the primary role of the Senate is to protect the county and to protect the interests of the counties. It is one area where we ought to allow that space. Now, taking this matter to court, that now you have governors on this side, and then you have the senators supporting them, you have the members of the National Assembly, and then you are waiting for the court to determine to you how to move, is not appropriate. The spirit of the Constitution, including in Article 189 and its generality, is that those of us who are tasked with responsibility, including given certain powers, should exercise it in the context of cooperation and understanding.
Yes.
It is the same understanding that it is unfortunate that, again, the question of the MP's salary and all, which should have be resolved by the Parliamentary Service Commission and the Salaries and Remuneration Commission away from the court, is now ending up in court so that it is the court to tell us. It is quite unfortunate. The same way, we are also in court on yet another issue, the question of the new notes, whether they are lawful tender or not. Either way, those are things that should have been resolved amicably, including by the Central Bank of Kenya, so that we are not at risk. Can you imagine the risk now we are facing, having printed all these monies, if the court were to interpret the Constitution and say that the new notes as printed are not legal tender? The cost that we have already incurred is immense. The point I'm making is, all of us who have the opportunity, and especially leadership, the National Assembly, the Senate, at the level of the governors, we should be more embracing and we should be more objective, and we can actually have these things resolved. The way at one time there was those tensions between the governors and the senators, and when I was ombudsman, I initiated a mediation which successfully reduced those tensions, and they went away without having to go to court to pronounce itself. So I think it's unfortunate that we are now trying to make non-justiciable issues taken to court so that we can get pronouncement from the court.
Right. So you think this particular bill also, the determination of the nature of bills, procedure bills, 2018 by Mutula Kilonzo, is called for at this particular moment?
What is called for is bigger, and I've made this point before. The way this Constitution is structured, there should be no reason, there should be no time when the Senate and the National Assembly are at such loggerheads that they cannot work together. Because the Constitution itself envisages channels of mediation and negotiation that should succeed. The fact that it completely flops speaks to our collective failure, especially in terms of leadership. That's the point I'm making. So even if you initiate a bill in the Senate and the National Assembly does not adopt it, then where are you still going with that? Because the expectation is that we are supposed to work together.
Yes.
In fact, the interpretation that the Supreme Court gave on these matters almost automatically causes involvement of the Senate in any lawmaking. And the Senate itself cannot initiate any matter that will become law without involvement of the National Assembly. So whatever you initiate should be initiated with a common understanding of both houses. Then it will succeed. Otherwise, it merely propagates the standoff.
Okay. Senator Wamatangi, briefly on this?
Yes, Dibal. One, I would be asking a few questions.
The operative word is briefly.
Yes, that's all right. You know, brief is subjective. But
My bell is here, just to remind you.
But Dibal, please don't interrupt my thoughts on this, because you know I'm a senator, and this goes right into the heart of what I've been elected by the people to do.
Yes.
So if there's anything I would speak on, it's this one, and not speak on anything else in this sitting this morning. It is on this, because that's why I'm in the House. And you know, I would start by wondering, you know, if we allow the kind of legislative impunity that you are seeing right now. I mean, in view of, for example, if the provisions of Article 218 can be so flagrantly disregarded and abused, when the Constitution is very clear on what happens at the introduction of division of revenue. If Dibal, when the law provides, and this is what we would need to be asking ourselves, that the amounts to be disbursed to counties be based on the audited accounts of government, and we are comfortable to say that we are arguing about an amount that's being sent to counties that is based on the accounts of 2014, when we're in 2019. That indeed, if it is, we are true to what should have been done right now, we should have been talking about disbursing more than 500 billion. But we are arguing about you know, disbursing what is not even what we are supposed to do. And I want to differ a bit on some of the views expressed by my colleagues here. You know, Dibal, for example, governors are direct stakeholders in this thing. And I want to say and state very clearly as a senator that on a matter like these ones, it is time the Senate itself decided what it wants to stand for. Because, and especially Senate leadership, this question of taking this matter, we did this sometimes in 2014. We moved to the Supreme Court over the same matter. Before, the Division of Revenue never used to come to the Senate until when the Supreme Court expressed its opinion and firmly stated that we have a role to play. That's when the Division of Revenue started to be brought to the Senate. If then the same impunity is reintroduced in a different way, whereby you find that a few people in the National Assembly can decide that this law is not supposed to be followed. And I want to, with due respect, also disagree with my good friend Otiende Amolo. Even as well versed as he is with the law, and we are also versed with this law because we're in Parliament. But if you have continuous disregard for the law, then where do you resort to if you don't go to court? Because this argument has been, we had a process that started in Parliament. There was discussion, it failed. We went to mediation, it failed. There was a reintroduction of the discussion, it failed again. And so counties don't have money. That's the end of the story. And there is no foreseeable light. And so what do you resort to? A sit-in in Parliament? Or a closure? You have to make the next agreeable and acceptable route, and that is move to court. That's what we are supposed to do. So what I'm saying is this, that indeed, as a senator, I find it, unwelcome. It's unbelievable. I say that, Dibal, that governors have to take the role that we should have taken ourselves. We are the ones who should have been on the street, going to court. We are the ones who are aggrieved. This Division of Revenue was disregarded when it was introduced in the Senate, not in the Council of Governors. They have just come to rescue or to deal with the situation that we should have dealt with before ourselves. And so I want to call out to the Senate leadership. There are times when you must stand up to be counted, or whatever it takes. Whatever it takes.
So the Senate leadership
because you see,
is sleeping on the job.
I mean, what else would you say? If this matter failed in the Senate, if it is the Senate that has been carrying this baby and has been disregarded, we should have been the ones in court and saying that this cannot continue. That our word has got to carry the force of law it's supposed to carry.
Jaco,
as far as the Constitution
is Senator Wamatangi's word really surprising you this morning?
No, because I think he's saying we are sharing the same thoughts. I think something, Dibal, must be sorted out. Here is a scenario where, despite all the legalities and the disregard for the law by the National Assembly, people are dying. We need medicine in hospitals, we need roads, we need services as a people. So that the semantics in Parliament are not relevant to Kenyans. What we need to do going forward, now that we are saying we want to go for a referendum, we need to make either of the two decisions. Either to make the powers of the Senate equal to those of National Assembly, and then this mediation committee must not be members of Parliament. They need to be invitees. But a neater way to do it is to make the Senate superior to National Assembly. We can't have people that we are paying money and they are senior in their nature, they represent bigger constituencies, and the people who represent a constituency of 1.5 by 3 kilometers are making decisions on, they just put them down. You cannot do that to senators and governors. Governors need money to work. Governors, most of these governors are from counties which did not even have a district. They're working under extreme circumstances, very difficult. So what I find ironical is that there are members of National Assembly who want to be next governors. Suppose there is not going to be constitutional change. They want to be next governors, but they are participating in making their future difficult. Why is it that an MP there's no MP who has spoken against this nonsense? No member of National Assembly. It is not for senators and governors to be together. Of course, they must be together. But members of National Assembly must give this country a break. But lastly, the Speaker of the Senate is a former governor. Speaker of the Senate is a former governor. I think he needs to up his game. He knows the suffering. he can do better than
Thank
he
you.
is doing today.
Right.
Thank
Aaron
you.
Chiriot, you want to weigh in on this?
Yeah, the most unfortunate thing about it is that you can argue for what is right to do in the courts, what is right to agree on, but the basic thing, Dibal, that shouldn't escape the mind of Kenyans is that in all this debacle, the National Assembly is telling the country that in the last financial year, they devolved 314 as shareable revenue. Between that time and now, revenue has grown, and there is evidence to that. What we are collecting is more. Yet they go ahead and publish a bill of 310 billion, a reduction of 4 billion Kenya shillings. And all the 350 members of the National Assembly, not a single one goes on record opposing it on the floor of the House and saying, this cannot be right. You know, members of National Assembly must distinguish between differences with your governor and senators and devolution. We all mean well for devolution. We can have our little squabbles here and there. It's not that governors are our best of friends as senators, and we have said as much to that. But we believe in the cause of devolution. We know what it has been able to achieve for the country. We know that the reason why devolution is not taking off to the levels that Kenyans expected it to be is because of continuous underfunding by the national government. Therefore, we are asking our colleagues in the National Assembly to please rise above. And that is a word that I have told Adan Duale, that is a word that I have told John Mbadi, that you do not have to like your governor to support devolution. The two are completely different entities.
Thank you. Let's hear from Boni Khalwale before we take a short break.
At the bottom of this dispute, there are two things. The first one is impunity, and the second one is CDF. For as long as we continue allowing members of parliament to collect, to control a fund, you set them in competition with governors.
But ideally, they're not actually meant to actually control this particular fund in the first place.
So,
Government.
because of the unconstitutional arrangement today that allows members of parliament to be in charge of executive functions, i.e. controlling CDF, they'll continue fighting the governors. The MPs are not fighting senators. They are fighting governors because they want to go back in the county and say, in my sub-county, I'm doing ABCD, and therefore, at the end of this term, I would be the best person to become MP, to become governor. That's exactly what is on the mind of many of these members of parliament, especially Mbadi, a man who I respect. I understand he thinks that, I suspect he thinks that if he succeeds in his constituency, by managing CDF well, he'll convince the people of Homa Bay that I'm fit to be your governor. Perish that thought.
But
the second point,
we need to get an understanding.
Can I finish my contribution?
Okay, finish.
Everybody's very excited about this one. Now, what do I mean by impunity? Impunity is that there is no ambiguity. The Constitution is very clear in 189, and it is very clear in 218. In 218, it speaks to how the bill of division of revenue should actually be processed not through one house, but through parliament. Nowhere in 218 do we speak of that bill being handled in the National Assembly. The article clearly says it should be handled through parliament. And parliament means the Senate and the National Assembly. That is impunity. That Speaker of the National Assembly is allowing such an important role to be transacted without being referred to the Speaker of the Senate. And I'm glad that the guru, the legal guru here, is agreeing with the senators on this one. That impunity must be addressed. Number two, 189. Article 189 speaks to the cooperation between the two levels of government. And that's why you had the Deputy President over the weekend appeal to both senators and governors that there was no need of going to court. Because in Article 189, it is clear that when there is a dispute, it should be mediated over by cooperation between the two levels of government. Look, I was so disappointed when I saw Professor Kivutha Kibwana and Professor Nyong'o on the front line of that activism yesterday of attempting to go to court. They are going to seek for orders which have already been given. The legal opinion that they are seeking from the Supreme Court has already been given. So why do they want to go a second time? They are wasting time. They are wasting public funds. Finally, there's the issue of mediation. The Constitution speaks to this fact very clearly, that when the two houses have not agreed on the division of revenue bill, then they should form a mediation committee. And the decision of that mediation committee, it holds once the decision is made by the majority of the members of the mediation committee. The senators and the members of the National Assembly are represented on the mediation committee in equal numbers. So where there is majority, then the report is taken to the two houses, again by majority. The two houses will then adopt the report of the mediation committee.
Thank you.
Why have they refused to go through that process? That is what is in the law. Please take over and clarify.
Could we just take a short break, then we circle back with you? And also to get clarity, is an MP supposed to be the custodian of CDF as it is right now? We'll speak to that. Right, you'll speak to that as well, because there's meant to be a committee and of course elected the chairman to be handling the CDF. But we see, as you're mentioning, some MPs that really want to, take the CDF, run with it, have these projects, and there has been also a contention between governors and the MPs when projects are being launched. They're saying, oh, this is from our CDF. The governor will say this is from, the county's funds. So everyone is really, gagging for that, position to actually be seen to be doing something on the ground as well. And this is creating a rift. We take a short